So we have a summit coming out for B2C business owners, and this is my first summit really leaning into speaker applications. In a summit I hosted last year, I did lightly promote an application, but I had less than 10 applications. Like I did not take it super seriously. This time I did a bit more focused promotion and I ended up with around 60. So I wanted to walk you through the process a little bit. Today I'm going to share why I haven't used speaker applications before, what made me try them, and my thoughts on the process and the outcome and all of that good stuff. In next week's video, I'm going to share more behind the scenes of like how I actually use the application. So what my process was like for going through them, what made some, a heck yes versus not even worth my time. I mean that in the most loving way. And then like how many speakers actually came from the applications. So if you have questions as I go, please feel free to leave it in the comments of this video or the post wherever you see it, and I'll either pop back in to answer, or I can record a separate Q&A video to send out or just include it in next week's video. But I want to start with why I've always been against applications up until now, because I did push back on them for years and even recommended that a lot of people avoid them. But overall, it was because I saw people using speaker applications as a way to be lazy. I saw people who didn't want to do the work to find perfect fit speakers, so they'd throw out an application that wasn't even good and then have a speaker lineup of people who weren't at all a good fit for their summit. Like, I think it is so important to have a highly curated speaker lineup, people you want to get to know, people who reflect your values, people you align with in all kinds of ways. And I've really liked being able to handpick those people in the past. But over the last year or so, I've started considering the power of still focusing on all of those things, but letting some of those people come to me and being able to connect with people I wouldn't have found on my own. So really, there are two people who get the credit for opening my mind a bit to like the good side of applications. Those people are Elizabeth Goddard and May Kay Sang. Like, they get the credit for this. I've watched Lizzie use applications for her summits and bundles for years. She ends up with hundreds of applications, narrows them down to a really well curated list of people who are a great fit. And I'm sure lots of them who she wouldn't have discovered and been able to feature otherwise. And I've seen May Kay do the same, but also introduce elements to make sure her application process is safe and inclusive, which she actually talked about in a recent episode of the Summit Host Hangout podcast, if you want to learn more about that. But these two really inspired me to give it a try. I was able to see people modeling, doing it well, and it opened my eyes a little bit. So going in, I was hoping to connect with with new people, fill my summit with topics I wouldn't have thought of on my own, but still keep the summit lineup full of people who are truly a great fit to speak. And as of recording this, just yesterday, we finished our speaker lineup. It's all finalized, ready to go. And I can now say I'm a pretty big fan of using applications when they're done in the right way, when they're used strategically, when they're not done to be lazy, but to add to a already thoughtful and strategic speaker search process. And to be honest, it did make my job a lot easier. I still did a lot of searching on my own, but there wasn't nearly as much pressure for me to discover all of these perfect fit business owners myself. A lot of them came to me instead. So if you have not tried speaker applications before and you have an audience of people, or you have a way to reach people to get your application in front of people who would be a good fit to speak, I'd encourage you to try it out. If you are in Summit in a Box or the Launch with the Summit Accelerator, you now have video trainings on this process. You have my application template to make it easy. But let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this process, what changed my mind, anything like that. Like I said, in next week's video, I'm planning to share more of the behind the scenes of how I sorted through those applications, what really stood out to me, how many people in my final speaker lineup are from those applications versus my own, and all kinds of good stuff. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I hope this kind of has your wheels turning and also models that it's okay to change your mind on things, to change your stance on things. You just got to give it a try and see what happens.